Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Cooper, known as the Channel Guy Trader, and I'm reporting to you live from Wall Street Trading's Miami office down in sunny South Florida. Today's date is Thursday, December the 12th, 2013, and here is today's After the Bell Market Summary video brought to you by WallStreetTrading.com. Want to go ahead and jump into the video here. Taking a look at the indices, the Dow Jones closed down 104 points. The Nasdaq closed down 5.5 points. The S&P 500 closed down 6.75 of a point. And the weakest index on the market today, I would say, was the Dow Jones here, down 0.66%. The Russell 2000 ended the day pretty much flat, which we'll be taking a look at all these charts here shortly. Looking at the breadth, we had 3,579 issues declining on the NYSE, NASDAQ, and the AMEX. We had about 2,694 issues advancing on the NYSE, NASDAQ, and the AMEX. So you can see breadth was in favor of the bears. A little bit mixed here, as there was not really any big favor in one direction. You can see it was mixed. Yesterday we had a 5-to-1 ratio in favor of the bears in the breadth reading. Today we had 143 issues on the NYSE, NASDAQ, and the AMEX making new lows, and 78 making new highs. So again, even on the new and low high breadth reading, we had more issues making new lows today. So let's go ahead and break down the charts. Just real quick, looking at the sector heat map, which I can just go ahead and bring this up over here on the screen because this is the one that I do use. I want to show you guys. You can see we had some selling pressure in the consumer goods. You can see Procter & Gamble was down 2%, Pepsi, KO. We had some weakness in the healthcare and the biotech stocks there, J&J, Pfizer. So some of this little, some of these defensive names had some selling today. Utilities got a nice little bounce today. Some mixed action in the energy space. Services sector, you can see, was a little bit weak. Technology weak across the board. We had Oracle down close to 3%, Microsoft down 1% here. I'm looking at the upper left-hand corner for you guys to see. HPQ down 1.5%, Cisco down close to 2%. Let's see here. The financials held up pretty well today, especially Goldman Sachs. Definitely try to break out today. AIG, nice day today. We'll take a look at that stock. So let's go ahead and break down the charts again. I go over if this is your first time viewing the video, I go over the indices first, and sometimes I'll go through some equities throughout the indice review. Then after I do the whole macro review, the big picture on the different indexes and key sectors, then I will take a look at some individual charts. So um, be sure to stick to the whole video. If you do enjoy and like the analysis and you find that it was very helpful, please like and share the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. At the same time, you're more than welcome to always go check out our website. WallStreetTrading.com has a lot of free informative information on the site. If you're interested in joining our proprietary trading firm, you can contact us via the button that's located on the front upper right hand side of the home page. Aside from that, let's go ahead and get into the video here. The SPY, the S&P 500 ETF, closed down 59 cents, 0.33%, closing at 178.13. Like we stated yesterday, if we were to break below today's lows, the target was this 177.55 level, prior resistance. We broke out right here, so now it's support in this area. All right, they even bought it close as they could towards that level right there, and you can see they bought it up right. They bought the spiders right in front of that 177.55 level. As today we hit a low of 177.76. Okay, and if we break below 177.55, you want to be on the lookout for this 177 level and then 176.66, which also lines up with that rising 50-day moving average. 176.13 is the most recent pivot point. That would be a level where there's definitely some players that were probably long the spot on this last leg up right here, that they're still working. Maybe some shares with a break-even stop, or possibly still holding because they didn't sell any up here. And if we were to go back down there, we'll be testing those buys to see if they're going to try to buy it back up, or if in fact we're going to break down below that level and stop those people out. So we'll see how that plays out. Keep an eye on that pivot that we had right here. All right, we already broke this pivot low right there today. We broke this pivot low, so the next pivot low you have to keep an eye out on is this one that's right here before that, the one that, of course, gives us the energy for that big last push up we had right here. Then we double topped recently, and now we're getting that selling pressure. Again, looking at the bottom of the screen here, again, always draw your little volume trend lines in there. They're very helpful. You can see we were expecting volume to pick up, and that volume is coming in. And or better, you can even draw another trend line right here towards this last little pivot high right there. I'm actually going to do that one and take this one out. And you can see that volume is definitely picking up from the volume trend line right there. All this volume that we have been getting this past couple of days. And even then, it's not a lot of volume, as some people aren't even trading in front of the screens this month, as a lot of big traders locked in their gains for the month, and most of them already started their vacation. Aside from that, keep an eye on those levels: 177.55, 176.66. If we could break back above 179, we can maybe get some action into these declining or flattening moving averages right here around 160, 179, 75, 180. Taking a look at the triple Qs here, which on my screen on my thinkorswim platform is not showing correctly. I'm not sure why they haven't fixed this yet. If you take a look at finviz.com, you can see that this chart should be looking like this. All right, you should have a big red bar right there, but on the thinkorswim they have like some funky looking doji. So maybe they'll fix that over the weekend. I'm not sure if anybody has called and complained about that. I haven't, because I just use thinkorswim for charting, so it's not a big issue for me. But in any case, you guys see how the FinViz chart looks. So you can see that the triple Qs is closed right on support at this 85 level, right in front of that support from the 20-day moving average as well. If we break below 84.75, the next key level you want to watch out for is 84. You can see here resistance. We broke out, so now it's support. That's definitely going to be a level to watch, 84. And then we'll see, we'll test the buyers tomorrow if we flash and we try to break below this 20-day moving average, which is 20 cents lower at 84.76. If we break to the top side, you want to watch today's highs, and I would say watch this area around, say, 85.75, 85.70 on the QQQs, triple Qs, however you want to pronounce it. IWM, the Russell 2000 ETF here, closed up 24 cents. Again, guys, we broke below that 50% trend line. If you guys been watching the videos here, I've been talking to you guys in regards to above the 50% trend line bullish, below the 50% sorry, I try to talk too fast here. Below the 50% trend line bearish, above it bearish. Above it bullish, below it bearish. So it's very helpful. So whenever you have a channel or a range, definitely draw that 50% median line of that range, and it will definitely give you a good it'll help you out a lot when it comes to mentally being on the right side of the market, at least in terms of the range. Okay, so aside from that, the Russell closed right on its 50-day moving average here, simple and exponential around this 109.85 area. It also closed at support from this level that we had right over here about 1, 2, 3 weeks ago. So keep an eye on this 109.35 level, or better yet, just call it 109 right in front of that whole number. We do have some support down there at 109. We do have some support at 108.62, and then the bottom of that big channel is down here at 108, and that comes from you can see all these pivot lows that we made right here, from this pivot low, this pivot low, this pivot low area. So we'll see. Again, we have been noticing that the Russell 2000 has been showing relative weakness intraday to the other indices, and now looking at the daily charts, you can see why. The Russell is just put in a lower high, and this has not been able to catch a bid, and we do have a little downtrend trend line we could draw into our charts to keep an eye on it for when we do try to break above it, possibly later on in the next couple of days or weeks. We'll see. No telling how much we're going to correct. That's why we just want to gauge these indices around key levels and go from there. Taking a look at the DIA, the Dow Jones ETF closed down 84 cents today, down 0.5%. One thing to take note of is that it is back below that key trend line from the break of the channel. All right, you see we broke above it right here. We bounced off of it last week as that back test held for 2 days, rallied up, put a lower pivot high in, and now we broke back down. So we are currently in a short-term downtrend, as you can see here. Okay, let me zoom in real quick for you guys. We have a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low, short-term downtrend on the Dow Jones right now. We'll have to gauge that and go from there. How about that VIX? The VIX did get a nice little bounce up today. It did sell off the highs, but again, if it gets over 16, all right, we'll be looking for that VIX to make a big move up towards 17, 14, possibly 18. Again, we have the bonds selling off. We have rates creeping higher, and I do believe that is putting a little pressure on the markets, along with some people maybe taking some profits off of the market out of their portfolios at the end of the year, as they're up a lot. And if we were to do some Fibonacci extensions to get some possible targets on this last leg up here, we take this little this most recent pivot low we had right here. Well, not the most recent one, but the one that started the nice move up in the volatility index, the VIX. So we'll take some Fibonacci extensions. You take that low, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 being the lower right here. Just gonna move to the side so it doesn't block the targets. And you can see that that measured move would give us a target up towards 1680 if that measured move, this ABC, was to play out. And then we have some extension targets up here towards the 138.2 around 1807, 1846. So keep an eye on that. I'm going to leave this Fibonacci extension on my chart going forward so I can gauge it myself. And a lot of guys, how would you trade that? Well, you would trade the VXX, or there's a you can trade the VXX. You have some guys that like to trade the TIVX, which is a 3 times leverage ETF, which this one trades kind of funky, but the same way it had this big move down, if the market would sell off very hard, the same way this thing could have a big move up. Again, if you don't understand how the TIVX and the VXX works, I would suggest you do not try to hold it overnight, or better yet, I would suggest you do not trade it at all. But if you do understand how it works, then you can trade it overnight, or you can trade it intraday. But some people that do not understand how it works, they could get hurt in it. So I would be careful with those two instruments there, those ETFs. Aside from that, dollar, did get a nice little bounce today, back up here. We're going to be watching this 81 level again. Remember they had this little descending triangle breakdown, matching lows. We broke down lower highs. That's a descending triangle. We broke down, and now we're going to try to ride back into that 80-50 level. If it holds and we put a lower pivot high in, that could be a clue that this thing's getting ready to go down. The euro pulled back a little bit today. One thing, I do believe that's shaking up the markets as well is this currency action. We have the euro getting stronger, we have the dollar getting weaker, and we have the bonds going down. So there's a lot of other things that are going on inside in the market, other than people think that the profit taking is going on. That's what's causing this recent selling. Let's go and take a look at the bonds. The TLT down 39 cents today. If the TLT breaks below its 102 level, guys, you want to be careful here. This thing could actually get another nice leg down, back down towards 97.50. You can see we have a nice little downward channel in right here. Lower pivot high, lower pivot high, lower pivot high. We have another little trend line you could draw in right here, or something like this here. And we have to make a lower low. Really, again, if we break below 102, that's when it's game on. All right, I talked about this in yesterday's video, so if you want to see how I analyze this on the weekly and the monthly chart based on some of our prior research, you can go ahead and look at last night's after the bell market summary video. Let's see what that TMV did today, which is a 3 times leverage ETF, up 1%. All right, little upward channel right here. That could be taking shape. The targets being up here towards 75, or better yet, this last pivot high right here, 77. Keep an eye on the bonds, folks. Something I think is brewing up here. Now let's go ahead and talk about some commodities and then stocks real quick here. Gold. Gold got smacked right back down today, down 2.5%. But one thing that's pretty good is that gold was down 2.5%. But if you take a look at the gold miners, they were only down 1%. So the gold miners did gap down and they had a nice little bounce. All right, and more or less, I'm glad to see that these mining stocks are going to get smacked right back down with gold. It kind of shows you there's a little bit of a bid coming into those names, so keep an eye out on those names going forward. Of course, here they still have some more downside, but keep an eye on the good companies that will be trying to hold some decent bases, and they're going to try to hold up. And then if they could hold up and the other ones break down, you will know which names are showing relative strength, we call it. So other than that, let's go ahead and take a look at crude oil real quick. All right, crude oil having some trouble at this 98 area. Copper futures /HG, they were pretty strong this morning. You can see copper futures. Copper's trying to get back above this 330 level. If it does, we'll be looking at say 336 or so. All right, copper's a growth commodity, so if this thing was to start moving higher and catching a bid, that would be bullish for the global growth outlook, as most people will be looking for that. Aside from that, let's go ahead and talk about some stocks, guys. I want to start off with Apple. All right, Apple was pretty much flat today. Again, still trading in a range, a little range between 560 and 570, $10 range. Not really much to do there. Amazon. You can take a look at Amazon, see what this thing did today here. Amazon, same thing here, flat. Uh, Broke and closed slightly below the range after this most recent up move. May pull back a bit. Let's keep in mind though, it is on top of the 20-day rising moving average, so that could get a bounce right there. But either way, you got to be careful buying Amazon up here after it had this nice little power move, and now you have some of these names selling off here. What else? Microsoft, some more technology stocks. Microsoft, some more profit taking going on here, down 1% today. And again, this thing is just going back down to the bottom of the range. Again, stocks trading in a range between 36.65 and I would say this little area right here, 38.40 or so, and you can see this all this chop action we had last week was just a little distribution going on up there, and you can see now we're back down inside the big range that we have here. All right, Oracle down close to 3% today. Big gap down here. I'm not sure what the news was out on this stock here, why it gap down like that, but you can see it got smacked down. They bought it right off the 200-day moving average. Keep an eye on this name. You should have some more players looking to trade this one tomorrow. Let's see here. HPQ down 1.5%. All right, nothing I see really there. And then Cisco down down today. Has not been able to recover that big gap down action it had right there. It's been trading sideways. We attempted to break down yesterday. We rallied off the lows, and today we broke down, rallied a little bit off the lows. But I think Cisco really wants to start making its way back down towards some of these key support levels that it has down here, say around 20. 20, we break below 20, you're going to be looking at the low, the 52-week low down here around $19.31. The financials, let's talk about the financials. Goldman Sachs held up pretty well. All right, and I want to make sure I don't forget about AIG. All right, and I want to make sure I want to make sure that I discuss some of the other stocks that held up today. So in the energy spaces, we had some bullish action in the energy names in the bank. So Goldman Sachs gap down, nice bounce today. I like that action. And I still think it's going to try to touch the top of the channel. It almost touched it right here, and that could in fact be the move that it wanted to make towards the top of the channel. We'll see. But again, as long as it's above the 50% trend line from the big overall channel we have right here, all right, we're going to be looking for this thing to be a buy on dips. And as long as the financials are still holding up well, we'll be looking to buy those names on dips. Again, JP Morgan up close to 0.5% today. Morgan Stanley was trading pretty strong today as well. You can see here we're right at that 50% trend line from the channel. The market does get a bounce today. I'm going to be looking at this name for a move tomorrow. One way, if you have a stock that closes at a key level to see if it's going to get a potential bounce tomorrow, really look at the 60-minute chart and see if you see any bullish continuation patterns. So, I mean, if you were to go to the 60-minute chart of Morgan Stanley, all right, and you were to see a, see, give me 1 second, my chart's frozen, and if you were to see a bull flag, then that would be pretty good. For example, on this day right here, if you were to expect a Morgan Stanley to get a bounce the next day or continuation move, you see a bull flag on the 60-minute chart, that'll give you a sign that, okay, maybe the next day you could look to buy on a dip in the early morning session and then look for it to move back up in the afternoon. In this case, this stock rallied up the whole day, so I would possibly be looking to buy a pullback in this name back down towards the 30-30 area, 30-40, 30-30, yeah, 30-30. I wouldn't want to see it go any more or less than 30-30, or it could probably reverse all the way back down to these 30-10s. But that's how you look for those opening drive trades. Which reminds me, Adobe had earnings after the bell. The stock closed at 54. It hit a high of 57 after hours. Let's go ahead and check to see what it's trading at right now. As this stock's going to be in play tomorrow, the stock is trading, hit a high of 57.40. So you can see here, it sold off to a low of 51.26 post market, then hit a high of 57.40, trading 56.88 right now. All right, so 56.88 would take it back up here towards this resistance right here around the 57 area. So if it can hold above 57 tomorrow, maybe we could see these 57 halves, 58s. If it does not hold above 57, most likely look for it to fade right back down. Let's not forget the overall trend is up. Okay. So back to the banks, or let's go ahead and take a look at that AIG that had a nice little pop up today. Again here, AIG. It's been trading in a range between 48 and 50. You can see every time it tries to break above 50, they sell it. So when it does get a nice little close above 50, that will be the goal. And then if we see that volume pick up as well, and it has a nice little trend intraday. We'll be looking for AIG to start making its way towards this gap fill of 5150. Keep this one on your radar. I'm definitely going to go ahead and set my alert around 50 10 or so I can know when the kind of a real breakout could happen. Again, if you have a stock and you're trading it for a breakout, and it closes at the high of the day or it closes slightly up the high of the day, you never want to put an alert. Well, you can put an alert that's right at the high of the day, but you also want to put an alert that's say maybe 10 or 15 cents or maybe 8 cents over the trigger price, so that if it does get some type of flash on the open, your alert doesn't go off. If it, it could flash 3 cents over the high, set your alert off, and then kind of have you focusing on that stock. The next thing you know, at the end of the day, it was that that one little flash on the open where you have those extreme moves from just people putting on this order flow that's coming in on the open. You can see that, okay, you were focusing on the stock the whole morning because the alert went off, and at the end of the day it did nothing. So you always want to have your alert set, I would say, a couple cents away from the original trigger, so then if it does trigger and it does keep on running, well, then you can just buy that pullback. All right, so just keep that in mind. So AIG, decent day today. Let's take a look at MetLife, another insurance stock. See what this did today. Down 24 cents. This MetLife actually looks like it could roll over if it breaks below 51. Keep this one on your radar. I'm actually going to put an alert if it breaks below this little pivot low that it made right there. And all right, let's go ahead and talk about some other key names today. Tesla. Tesla was in beast mode today, very strong, and what do you know? It actually broke out at the end of the day here. Had resistance. We talked about this yesterday. It had resistance, and it broke over 145 today, and now it looks like it can get a gap fill up here towards the 150 half level, and then you have 155, and then you have 160. So Tesla, guys, is looking like it wants to go higher here. One thing to watch will be this little key trend line from this pivot high and that pivot high. So this thing can in fact try to make its way back up towards the 170 area. Watch it. Netflix strong today. After getting upgraded yesterday, the stock made a nice move up. You can see we're trying to get some closes above this last Fibonacci here, the 78.6%, before we get back up to those highs. And that's where it looks like it wants to go. Now it looks like it has a nice little up move, little pullback buy, and potential little ABC move that could be playing out. Netflix, keep it on watch. Definitely has some decent volume in the name today. The 3D printing companies, Triple D up 3% today, up close to 4%. Sorry, up $3 today. You have SSYS, another name that's doing pretty well. And I wanted to check the stock GoGo because that ONVO. Some of these little names that people are trading that they look like pump and dumps to me, but they're playing CYTR for some of you guys out there. I mean, here you have a stock that has no volume and gets some positive news out of a drug on a PR or something, and you have it pop up, and you have a whole bunch of people that are just pumping the stock up. So then you get some more players in there. Be careful with these names. If you're trading them intraday, trade them. But definitely be careful with these names. If you're buying at the end of the day, think it's going to have a continuation. The next morning, wake up to a 10% or 15% gap down. Be careful. Anyway, so again, we had some selling pressure in the healthcare. So let's go and take a look at a couple of those names. J&J, some money coming out of these defensive names. J&J down 2%. KO, Coca-Cola, down 2.25%. PepsiCo, PEP down 1.5%. Procter Gamble, Pfizer, PFE down. Let's see here, 1.25%. So you have some money flowing out of these defensive sectors. All right, you had some money flowing out the utility sector for a little bit as well. And some people are looking to put risk on. And if they're looking to put risk on, where are they going to go to? Well, they're going to go to the energy names, which have been shaping up pretty well. ExxonMobil, kind of choppy right now, but it looks like it's going to be establishing a range between 93 and 96. Something like that looks good going into the new year, possibly. A lot of these energy names are down a lot, so going into the new year, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to break those names out. Let's see, also had some bullish action. Give me one second. Also had some decent action in COG. All right, COG up 2.25% today in the energy space. Looks pretty good. Weekly chart, nice uptrend. EOG, CHK, all these energy names were up pretty nice. Some of them have been coming down for quite a while. For the past 3 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks they've been selling off, so now some of them are getting a nice little bounce. Halliburton was up 1% today. We talked about this name. Looking for a bounce down here around 48. Got a slight bounce today, nothing too crazy. I wouldn't really get excited about the bounce I had today. Still watching to see if it's going to come down a bit. Some action in TSO, Schlumberger. So again, there's some action out there. Um, just got to make sure that you're in the right names. Just going to take a look at Google. All right, Google pulled back again today, another consecutive lower close. Some more high flyers that I want to make sure I track going forward. Price line trading sideways up there at the upper part of its range. It's the upper part of the screen up there. This thing's rallied up a lot. Price line, CMG. CMG looks like it wants to come in. Keep an eye on this name. 150-day moving average is right there at 505. What other stock was I just thinking about here? CF, another big key stock that I like to watch for the agriculture sector. This stock's been pulling down ever since it had this nice rally right here. If it breaks a low that it made last week, Wednesday, looks like, look for this stock to try to fill that gap and possibly come back down towards the 220 area or maybe 216, which then I think that would be a good area to try to pick up some call options or pick up a nice little starting position for a potential move back up, since it has been in a nice little slight uptrend right here, and it's been showing relative strength compared to the other ag names. Let's see, the coal stocks, they pulled back, right? A&R, bullish day, look, boom, smack right back down. Wow, no love there. WLT bounced up, boom, pulled right back in there, no love there, could go back down to 1350. CNX, which has been the strongest name in the group, didn't pull back that much, still hanging in there. And then you have BTU, all right, holding that low right there, 18. Nice little balance. Maybe you can start building a base around 18, and we can have a nice little low right here, higher pivot low, and a higher pivot base right here. Then look to see if we can move higher. We'll see. Again, they were looking pretty nice, but these names are still looking as if they want to go down, as they have a little pullback and just can't catch a nice little bid. All right, let's see, what does DE do today? DE pulled back again. If DE pulls back to that 85 level and that back test holds from the breakout, we'll be looking to pick up some call options against the 85 or maybe sell some puts against the 85. Again, just forecasting right now, but that's a possible scenario. All right, folks, aside from that, I could keep on ranting on about different stock names, but I would make this video an hour plus long, which I do not want to do that to hold up your time. So make sure you come join us in the chat room tomorrow, mywallstreettv.com. Have a great day, folks. Cheers.